Hello and welcome to That Was Golf. My name is Calum MacVicar. Thank you very much for joining us on this episode. This week we're in conversation with Cory Roberts, who is one of the co-founders of Australian golf brand Penta Golf.
Man, I guess a good place to start is happy second birthday.
Thank you. We turned two. Yeah, I didn't think we'd make it. No, kidding. We turned two, and yeah. I guess that looking back at we cut an Instagram reel just to sort of celebrate everything that we'd done over the last 2 years, and it's funny, like some things felt like they were a lifetime ago, and others just felt like they were yesterday. And those were the things that we kicked the brand off with. So it's funny how much of a whirlwind it's been. Lots of fun, and yeah, we're just excited for another 2 more years, three, four, so on and so forth.
Oh, so good. How did you originally come up with Penta? Like, how did it start? Was it quite an organic or idea?
Yeah, it originally started. So Penta is essentially myself, Jai, and Ben, so three mates. We all work together. We've got creative agency background, and we just had a really strong, deep love for the game.
Yeah,
At the time when and this is going back the good end of, 4 or 5 years ago, almost that COVID period, um, the idea to do something like this came about. What it was obviously, or what we thought it could be, was a journey, and we had essentially golf then what it isn't what it is today, but we saw so much room for what it could be. Like, I think golf is it's obviously evolved. It's, going through I would say, like a cultural growth spurt. And the idea originally started, funny enough, on a golf course.
yeah.
So we all agreed that it was something we wanted to do. We're incredibly good friends, and we kind of make sure that that's paramount. That's like the first thing that we wanted to make sure of, that we were, we protected the integrity of our friendships first. And yeah, I think in terms of the love of the game, we were so aligned with the vision and what we wanted to do. So short version is that it started on a golf course, and
It's still on the golf course.
it's still on the golf course. It doesn't really leave the golf course, to be honest.
Um, yeah, that post-COVID world really felt it felt like a new bloom for golf. Unusually, it felt like everyone decided, well, I could do my exercise of 20 minutes of running, or I could go and play golf on the golf course for 4.5 hours. And it saw this incredible boom of just people picking it up for either the first time or picking it up for the first time since they were teenagers and things like that.
A really interesting point around that actually is that I was speaking to uh, our pro in the pro shop, Rob. Shout out to
Yeah.
Robert Moringa Golf. And he is, he's been around golf for forever, like his whole life. We were talking about a similar sort of question, and just like that sort of boom. And as I said before, that growth spurt that golf's going through. In his experience and his time, he said he's only seen three monumental booms, if we want to call it that, of golf,
Yeah.
particularly within Australia. There was the Tiger era, the Greg Norman era, and or the Greg Norman era, the Tiger era, and COVID. COVID was a huge. It was obviously quite a dark time for some, for a lot of people around the world. Um, but for us in Australia, it was, I think we were forced to lock down, and it just gave us this burning need
Yes.
to get
Yeah.
outside. And obviously with social distancing, it was just the perfect sport.
Yeah.
It fit the brief. So golf kind of went through that period of, being what it was, to just a huge boom and participation growth. Um, So yeah, I thought that was really interesting that he compared the recent boom to comparatively to some of the legends of golf within us, at least within Australia anyway.
Yeah, it's crazy to put like COVID and Tiger Woods in the same sentence as good things for golf.
It's a bit weird.
And so in terms of that journey of the sort of 2 years of Penta that you've had so far, what's been kind of some of the highlights that you've had? And then what's been kind of some of like the challenges you've faced, kind of building a golf brand from scratch?
I think building any business, I'll answer the latter question first, but building a golf brand from scratch, I think building any business from scratch, just I I think anyone who's done it underestimates how much work actually goes into it. I have so much respect for people who do it on their own because there's three of us and it feels like it was a monumental push to just get the business and the brand up off the ground. And there was so much to learn about along the way. It was, uh, yeah, Penta's very much been, we put a lot of our heart and soul into it, but unfortunately, it feels like, and as with anyone going into business, it's a crash course along the way. Um, Biggest highlights, I think, definitely getting it up off the ground is like goes without saying, like the fact that we just were able to make Penta what it is.
Hmm.
Um, but for us, the one thing that really hits home is community. Like we really love going out and we host a quarterly golf event just with like a pretty tight crew of golfers around the northern beaches called Bad Golf. The name says it all. There's no good golf in it, at all in it. There's the odd shot here and there, but Bad Golf's essentially just like a an event where, we can all kind of get together, catch up, have a hit, and just sort of, um, you know, uh, reconnect with yourself. Um, Bit of a distraction from the mundane, all those sorts of things. So I think the highlight is definitely forming a community, and it just sort of is part of the reason why we do it in the first
Yeah.
place. So Bad Golf's been a really good one.
Those events have been amazing to be part of as well. It's really great to go to an event within golf that doesn't feel like it has too many restrictions to it. Even some events are like you have to have a handicap or you have to have this or you have to have that. So there are still some rules within it. But with the bad golf, it's like turn up, have fun, don't take it too seriously. And that don't take it too seriously mantra is really felt out on the course, which makes it such an enjoyable afternoon.
Big time. And that is such a good point. But also everyone is so respectful of the game and honors the game. So while we're out there having fun and not taking ourselves too seriously, we're there to play golf and have fun with our mates. So um, we want to continue to grow and evolve these and make them better experiences for our community and continue to grow the community of people who are around our brand.
I think Australians in general on the golf course do a really good like some from an outsider's perspective moving to this country, Australians do a great job of being like a little bit loose, but also having a great admiration and respect for the game. Those two things come really, really well together. I mean, it's like why Live Golf down in Adelaide is such a success, or why the BMW up in Brisbane is such a success. There's that little element of people getting a bit loose. There's a bit of cheering, there's a bit of this, there's a bit of that. But at the end of the day, a lot of that is grounded in a deep respect for the game, which you can really feel when you're out there as well.
Absolutely. I think even to add to that point and to go back to your other question before, like um, part of the reason why we did Pentra is for exactly that point that you just made. Like we saw the opportunity for us is that we saw golf as being a game that was so enriched in tradition, but so ready for reinterpretation because there were so many other sports that their evolution culturally was relative to the evolution of their sport, both like from a performance level and just, many facets. Um, and for us, it was very much about style is such a cool it is your brand. It's how you represent yourself, and feeling comfortable in the clothes that you wear, from like a performance perspective, but then also like it's, as I said, it's how you represent yourself as a brand. There was a huge gap at that time when we started talking about what Penta was. You had obviously front runners like the guys at Melbourne, Manners, and in Australia, we've got Walker really leading the charge. They're doing an incredible job, and the guys that left the field. Um, so we, we're all we like to think that Penta's on this same journey as other brands, where we're all kind of working together for the greater good of golf, and we do all have a aligned vision of where we see the game going, and we are starting to see a lot more of that cultural inclusivity within the brand, or within the sport. Um, Live has been a big disruptor, and I think it's definitely been a disruptor for a good, for the better of the game. It's definitely forced its competitor to think a little bit outside the box and be a bit more proactive with what it does with its athletes, with what it does with its fans, and I think that's had a massive flow-on effect to the game as a whole. So, um, yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. On that point of Live, it's interesting that from sort of 2002 onwards, when it first came down here, you've seen the Oz Open and the BMW, obviously on the DP World Tour, change their outlook as to, like you're saying, like how they present themselves as a golf tournament and who they're bringing in. Like obviously the competition now is that they've got to compete with guys like Bryson and John Ram, who outside of their golf game are like huge international athletes and YouTube stars and things like that. So last year having Rory down at the Australian Open, such a huge pull. It feels like golf in Australia has had such a nice little curve of coming back to the top of this is a place where people want to come again, this is a place where people want to play again, and a place that people talk about. You know, the story of Anthony Kim last week. That was everywhere. Absolutely everyone talking about it. And for him, it couldn't have happened at a better place, at a more responsive and respecting audience of A, his story, B, his personality and his skill, and that journey that he's been on as well.
that's so true. I think one thing to note on that is Australians, or Australia as a whole with golf, is starved of competitive golf. Like, there's no doubt, given the Oz Open and events like Live, that, those events year on year are going from strength to strength. And they're not like baby steps either. They're taking like monumental leaps every year. So um, I think that there's huge appetite for, we would all love to see a major in
Oh,
Australia. We would all love to see a PGA Tour event in Australia. There's no doubt that that's like, there's no question mark on the fact that that wouldn't work here. Obviously, there's there's a number of reasons why they haven't done it or yet to do it, but um, yeah, Anthony Kim's story was really special. It come at a really good time. I actually saw an interesting stat on Instagram the other day that his percentage of winning going into that event was 0.1% before the final round, which I just was like blown away by. Goes to show you just need, that's all you need. You just need that one, that little hit.
and that did you watch or did you tune in for any of that final round?
A little bit. I was actually out
Yeah.
on the golf course playing at the time, so we had it going in the background. But I saw the final part and the reaction and the moment with his family. Um, Obviously, like really emotional. Cool as a golf fan to witness that, because you know the backstory behind it, how much that means to him, and it's good to have that little bit of, that ingredient of drama in those wins. They're great. They're so great for the sport. And yeah,
I was yeah, the final back nine where he made that string of four birdies. It like every fist pump he's making is like a little bit bigger than the last one. Every cheer is a little bit louder, and it's crazy watching those things, and all the momentum is just sucked into one person and one it's like everything's going his way. Nothing is going anybody else's way. It's all just designed to make this great final moment that he has on 18. Yeah, it was electric viewing.
Oh, I could imagine what it would have been like on the ground. Like, you talk about the live golf property alone as if it's not high enough energy, and then you got something like that going on. It's just the perfect recipe for an awesome event.
Yeah, the crowds on 18, reminiscent of Tiger at 2019 at the Masters, like they're just the throng of people closing in on him. Yeah, wild amount of people.
Totally. I was actually at the Oz Open this year, and yeah, just even on that note, like the crowds on 18 when Cam Smith came in, like just so cool to witness that and be on the ground and feel that energy. Obviously, you got 35,000 people that were down there all hoping that Cam was going to make that putt, um,
Yeah.
but another cool story, like it is what it is. That's what's beautiful about the sport, and um, yeah, there's no doubt that there's a strong interest and growth. It's becoming more and more of a household sport. Like it's not as it's losing that identity of being recognized as like an exclusive sport. Don't get me wrong, that's still around, but I think in
Mhm.
particular to tie back to those boutique core new age golf brands, they're doing so much for the sport because of that. There's so much more inclusion in the sport, and those brands are all spearheading it. They're culturally making it more fit and acceptable to allow more people into the sport.
Oh, absolutely. It feels like the like that group of left to field, yourselves and Walker, doing a really good job of bringing that community together. It all feels as though, like you're saying, nice and aligned on where the sport is going, where it's heading. Obviously, kind of following along from the trends of the UK and America in terms of those groups kind of collaborating together, working together. Um, you guys have done a collab recently with Barnaby's. Like, how did that conversation come about to start to collaborate with them? Was that quite like an organic one?
Uh, to some extent, we were real. I guess we were big fans of what they were doing and had been following them for quite a
Mhm.
while. For context of your viewers, Barnaby's is a US golf brand, and they make some really cool gloves. So it was straight up it was literally just like a cold DM. We just hit them up and we just sort of said, "Hey, you want to do something?" And they were very receptive and actually were following us and loved what we were doing. So we had a few calls and we kind of were spitballing a few ideas in terms of what, like, it was good to understand a little bit about their brand and for them to understand about us. And we felt like we landed in a really cool spot with a nice capsule. We had golf polo, which was like our signature silhouette golf polo. We collaborated on doing two different prints with them. We've made two golf gloves and a putter head cover. So a tight little capsule, but a lot of fun. We did a really cool content shoot just to launch that. And yeah, I think as even just in general from like collaboration, it's cool to go through that. We've only ever done anything on our own. So it kept us honest in some areas. It was really cool to just get a set, like I guess, a different view and opinion creatively on things and just to understand how another brand and business works. But at no point was there any tension. It was like a really, really nice, flowing, authentic collaboration from start to finish. And I think the products reflect that.
Yeah, definitely not to like blow smoke up you or anything like that, but the polos are the most comfy golf polos I think I've ever worn in my life. They're fantastic.
Thanks, man. We put our heart and soul into those. So yeah, they're hot property.
In terms of that collaboration effort, does that give you a bit more confidence to start to look to like work with other brands or work with other entities going forward?
Yep. We have sort of been speaking to a few brands. We're speaking to the guys over in Western Australia, Macam, about doing some work. And they're everywhere. They are so cool. They hand make everything, which I think is just so fascinating. So it's all made in Australia, it's all handmade. And just a lot of the fun sort of textiles and methods that they use to create some of their various products. Like they obviously got really strong head covers. They're doing a lot of cool stuff with a lot of existing other golf brands in the space. So we're speaking to the guys at Macam, and yeah, it's definitely the Barnaby's thing was, the first time we'd done a collaboration, so we definitely learnt a lot from it. Um, I think there's a lot more that goes into them, and that than you would expect. But that's just because there's obviously so much passion from both ends. So I think key for us was just really letting go of the things that didn't matter so much to us, and being really passionate about the non-negotiables. But yeah, I think if a brand or anyone with it with whatever you're doing can find a good cohesion with another person or another brand, and there's a good chemistry between what you guys are doing and the vision, I think the results are going to speak for themselves. And I think the Penta Barnaby's capsule is definitely a good reflection of that. Um, and there's like a lot of other cool collaborations within the golf space that are popping up. There's obviously like your big time stuff. I know Metalwood just released their collab with Adidas, which looks awesome. Um,
Yeah, and like straight out there on the Genesis, like Colin Morikawa was wearing it in the practice round straight away. So it's such a huge advertisement for it straight away.
exactly. And that's where I, going back to that point that I said, you've got those new age golf brands that are just moving mountains for golf culturally. It's, 5 years ago we would have never seen PGA Tour athlete wearing anything like that out on the golf course. So it
A
just
hundred
it
percent.
just speaks so much volumes about how well these brands are doing. And um, again, we're all doing our own thing. We're all sticking to our own lane, but we all have the same vision.
And I really love that that is pushing the boundaries of changing it. It feels there's I've seen a couple of things on the sort of socials and things like that that sort of say golf 20 years ago, 25 years ago feels like it had a lot of character. Guys were wearing sort of baggy clothing or they were wearing colorful clothing, and then it went through this kind of change of everyone almost looked exactly the same. And like you're saying, in that last 5 years or so, you get people wearing, like Jason Day, for example, wearing all the crazy Malbon stuff that he's been wearing that causes so much conversation. But in that conversation, it opens people's eyes and it opens people's ears to like, oh, maybe I could wear something a little bit different, or maybe I can incorporate what I wear when I'm off the golf course onto the golf course as well, and brings like that new identity, which all of these brands are kind of bringing in, brings them in straight away.
100%. Did you see that actually Melbourne made a range with the tape over their logo as
Yeah, I
well?
saw that. Yeah, great. What was the other one they did? When I was at the Masters a couple of years ago where he was wearing like a jogging bottoms set with the jumper and the trousers, and it's like, oh, it looks like he left his luggage, and they called it the left luggage collection. They sent a bunch of stuff to him. Now they're really on it with like just being aware of how they speak within that golf field and like adopting into it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And I mean, it's so cool. And like, you can't even, like, YouTube golf as well is just blowing up and blowing the sport up as well. Like, in terms of, the growth of the sport from another angle, like using that as a platform, hasn't that done so much for just from an entertainment perspective, giving people so much, and it definitely helped with the growth of the game.
Hugely. And it changes the conversation about how we view golf on television as well. Your traditional 5 to 6 hour broadcast of a PGA Tour event, for example. Maybe they have one featured group, and then the other groups you only see occasional spots. Maybe you don't see as much of the course. You see, too much of a leaderboard. Whereas the YouTube golf, I feel like that is pushing these broadcasters to maybe rethink about how they show golf on television. Because YouTube offers you
Mm.
unlimited access to pretty much everything. You see every shot, you see the golf buggies in between, hear conversations. These things are slowly being adapted into the game. I feel like even the on the DP World Tour, they do a lot of following along players after a tee shot as they approach their shot on the fairway. And even something like that to think about like having a conversation with someone, not even mid-round, it's mid-shot. So they're like going between shot to shot in a hole and just drawing tiny little bits of information out of them is changing how we view the game and how we see these players and stars.
It's pretty cool, huh? It's like from like an experience and entertainment perspective, even the data that we're given access to,
Oh,
like
crazy.
that's just great. That's crazy in itself. Like for gearheads and data nerds, that's like good fun, no doubt. It's all really fascinating, but yeah, it's I guess we're sort of spoilt for entertainment.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. In terms of Penta, how does the rest of 2026 look for you guys?
Um, there's a fair bit that we've got going on. I probably can't talk about everything as much as I'd like to. Now we've got I think probably the next 12 to 24 months we really want to, as you said, like thank you for our birthday message. We've turned two. Um, we feel like that, we've definitely positioned ourselves well and established who we are and where we fit within the space. So I guess moving forward for the next year and 2 years, we'll probably go through. You'll start to see us going through a little bit of a growth spurt stage where we're going to invest pretty heavily into a lot of our products. So while doing things like collaborations are really important to us, our core range and our audience and our community is sort of at the forefront of the reason why we're doing it. So we'll be going pretty hard with that. Um, yeah, I think you may see us pop up in a few more places. We're trying
Hmm.
to really for us, it was always about like we're we're Sydney boys. We started in Sydney. We really just focused on just what we're doing in our backyard. So um, I think the next goal is to sort of spread our wings and show the world who we are. Um, yeah, I think you'll start to see a little bit more fun things, community events, and
Beautiful. Love it. And will we see a return of bad golf in 2026? I've been itching to get back out there and try
you
and get
will.
myself another win.
We've been talking tentative dates, so I think April is looking very likely. We'll keep you posted on
Love
dates,
it.
and yeah, um, bring as many people down as you like, Cal.
Yeah, I'll keen for it. I'll be sharing out as much as possible.
To round out this week's episode, I asked Cory for his opinions on who he thought would be the best male performing Australian golfer in the 2026 season.
It's really like honestly, I'm going big. Like I want to say guys like Christopher Wood, like just like go real core. Like he just had such a he won the New South Wales Open. Um, Obviously like big fan of Min Woo, and it feels like Min Woo's doing like really really. He's making moves. He's sort of stepping in the right direction on the tour, but you can't go past the GOAT, Adam Scott. He's about to step into his 100th major. Is that right? 100th major? Like I mean, that alone is grounds for best Australian male golfer of 2026. I'm Cory Roberts, and that was golf.